So come on, take a look at me. I'm a well-fed man beyond his best years with light gray hair, but being able to draw a picture, a horrible picture about today's global challenges that might immediately spoil your day. But I'm not going to talk about human rights, starvation, child death, human trafficking, drug trafficking, slavery, pandemics, economic chaos, climate change, migration problems, air and water pollution, or wars. By the end of my little talk, I'm going to ask you a question about shaping this world for the better. We don't need to be worried, confused, or depressed about the world situation, because there are things that we can do, that you and I can do to make things better. Any of the mentioned problems have been caused or worsened by globalization. And today we have come to a state where no state is able to solve the problems by his own. My message to you is think global, but act locally. I recently have been to New York City, and I want to tell you 3 stories about people and how they behave to find solutions that have an impact. New York subway, 5 million people traveling each day from east to west, from north to south and back. 5 million people, that's about the inhabitants of New Zealand, Finland or Norway. Everyone is in a hurry. Maybe this is New York culture, but I know that a lot of those people, they have to rush for their 2nd or their 3rd job in a row to earn their living in an expensive city. There are so many people, crowded trains and platforms. You may think this causes a hectic mess, but on the contrary, there seem to be some unwritten rules in the head of a New York subway users. Everyone is by his own, which does not differ, for example, from any major city in Germany, where I come from. But in my opinion, a subway user in Germany is much more selfish and inflexible dealing with the situation. The New York people seem to take care of themselves and not to be involved in other people's affairs. On the other hand, New York travelers are very polite, so you hear excuses very often. And they are offering their places, their seats in the trains to people that seem to need them without being asked. To me, it seems that they found a very practicable solution how to deal with masses of people humanly. I got a bit sick those days and I went to a pharmacy in Wall Street. After getting advice from the pharmacist, I went to the woman at the cashier. I was the only person, so she started a small talk with me. And she asked me about my disease, why I need the medicine, and I told her that's maybe because of New York climate and New York air conditions, especially in the subway trains, so it's very hard to be there. And by that time, the people behind me, they lined up. So there was one and another and more people lining up behind me. And the woman, she started talking a real good talk to me. She asked me about where I come from, about my deals, about the things I have to do in New York City and about my experiences. So it was a very good talk that we had. And there was no moaning or complaining in the line behind me. There was only one person who was in a hurry and he asked for the self-cashier. The woman just pointed to the corner and said, "Self yourself," and she continued having a good talk with me. How can it be that amid crowded New York City, during rush hour, people can show interest in somebody else, in a stranger? She showed sympathy to me. And to me, it felt like everybody counts. And I think this is a good example for excellent communication, because excellent communication is a heart opener between people that don't know each other. My third story, it was a sunny afternoon when I met a young professional woman in the quiet coffee garden of Highline Hotel. We were talking about her work with the Good Country project. Simon Anholt founded this project in 2014 and terminated early this year. The Good Country had the idea that no country on earth is an island. They set up an index about how much a country contributes something good or valuable to other countries and to the people of other countries. To me, it seems to be a bit like a game with numbers. But it illustrates that everyone is responsible for himself and that we are all connected. And we are all responsible for the whole bunch of 7.6 billion human people on this earth. As local problems can only be solved globally, we should tell our political leaders and the leading companies to start more collaborating and stop competing. On the contrary, we mostly see the opposite. So it's hard to solve global problems without international cooperation. I like the idea of Simon Anholt, who thinks that anybody on this planet in the position of power and responsibility has a dual mandate. So two sets of responsibility. The first set is for his own people. And the second is for every single being on the face of the earth, for the entire globe. This responsibility starts from within every human being. So you need to take care of yourself and empower yourself. Then you need to take care of your family, your neighbors, your street, your city, continued by your country and the planet. Don't tell me this is difficult. I know it's difficult, for sure. But it's worth a honest try. The smallest decision we make, like changing a light bulb at home, has an international effect because of the globalization. We have to learn to operate in a new way, not only being responsible for our own people in a single mandate and for our own slice of territory. So my call goes to everybody listening. Start thinking different. Start with yourselves, your families and neighbors. Spread good ideas and thoughts daily so people get infected until positive minds are everywhere. And take care of having fun. Here comes my question to you. This question is asked by Sir Richard Branson on Instagram. So what do you personally think is one small way to change the world for the better? So what do you personally think is one small way to change the world for the better? I'm waiting for your answer later. Let's talk. Thank you.